Hi everyone, thank you very much for stopping by and returning to the Old World. It's been a few days since the latest Old World Almanack has come out, and time has passed sufficiently to allow us to reflect on the information that's been provided. So without further ado, let's have a quick gander through the latest article. Now, it is important to note that this is not the longest of the articles, and I don't think it contains tons and tons of particularly exciting information. However, it does give us some useful bits and pieces for us to digest. What's the first thing? Well, we're looking at morale. Now, this really just builds on the information we saw in the article about what happens in the combat phase when someone loses combat. We know about break and flee, we know about fall back in good order, we know about give ground. However, the article does flesh out the information we already have a little bit, in that it tells us that breaking and fleeing will be a 2d6 retreat, as it always has been, but when a unit falls back in good order, they'll break the lowest of 2d6 inches and then automatically rally and face their opponents. Fall back in good order is a withdrawal of 2 inches straight backwards, which is pretty much, I think, as we would have expected it to be based on the information provided in previous articles. There's also the confirmation that a unit, when in combat with a unit that gives ground, it can choose to either move up and retain contact or hold its position. I think that could be useful given the potential opportunity for traps that we've discussed in other videos, where a unit can be pushed back gradually and expose flanks. So this would give a unit that is being victorious the opportunity to not blunder forward into a trap. But I do see that maybe there might be some leadership tests that might be needed to be taken in this sort of area to prevent that from happening. The article then goes on to touch on psychology, mentions a few returning favourites like animosity and stubborn, unbreakable, for example. But the meat of this particular section is looking at fear and terror. And I think the way they've gone with the terror special rule is quite interesting. We've talked in a previous video, with this time regarding the Tomb Kings, how fear would be really important for balancing the strength of the army. Historically, fear has been incredibly strong. If you were beaten in combat by a unit which had greater unit strength than you and caused fear, your break test was double ones. Highly likely that the unit was going to break and flee, and it was a great opportunity for an undead army to put a blender lord, a vampire, and a vampire count force most commonly, in with a huge number of cheap rank and file, skeletons, zombies, something like that, so that the Lord would wipe out the front rank of an enemy unit. They wouldn't be able to return any attacks, and almost certainly the unit beaten would be fleeing for the hills. Now we've got fear is going to be take a leadership test in order to charge a fear-causing enemy, and also taking a leadership test to avoid having a -1 to hit penalty. Now, that seems quite strong to me, but not unreasonably so. Fear should be a reasonable element, I think, but also should be a bit of selective about who it's likely to affect. An elite unit is likely to be well enough led, well enough motivated to push the charge into a unit of skeletons, or be able to fight off a unit of other fear causers, maybe giant spiders for the like, without the -1 to hit penalty. However, your more regular troops, maybe a unit of halberdiers, a unit of goblins, for example, are far more likely to be unnerved by the unnatural things they come across. So overall, I would say actually fear is looking fairly strong, but not unreasonably so. However, as always, until we see the full rules, until we start getting models on the table, we won't be able to say one way or the other. All I can say at this stage is that for me, it sounds positive. Terror also looks interesting, so as always, if you're charged by a terror-causing opponent, there is a chance that a unit will merely flee if it fails its leadership. There's some extra juice here in that there's an extra -1 penalty for a leadership characteristic when attempting break tests. So all units could potentially run away to a greater degree. Finally, a quick note on Frenzy. We're looking at a unit with an extra attack, immunity from fear and terror, and always having to charge and not being able to flee. So Frenzy looks largely unchanged from the rule we all previously know. Final comments really around the article content is we do see another spell, and we do see the stat line for the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. Now, there's a whole heap of special rules floating around here. Armoured Hide 2, for example, probably adds to save roll, and we've got Armour Bane 2, which is, we know, Armour Penetration by a different name. But I think that these snippets of information about particular units are only going to be of value once we know what A, all of these special rules actually mean, and of course B, what the point cost is going to be. Finally, there's also another magic spell revealed, this time an enchantment which gives a unit within 12 inches the Hatred and Frenzy special rules. It's cast on a 9+. Now, the next article is going to be about magic, so hopefully these spells that we're seeing information about will start to be a bit clearer around how they work. So I'm expecting to see that in just a few days' time. So what do I think overall? I'm very much of the view that really fear is the main piece in this article. And fear, I think, is going to be really important to Tomb Kings in determining how well they're able to work on the battlefield, and maybe even terror as well. If they've got all the constructs, they will cause fear as a minimum, possibly even terror as well. I think both of these rules are looking strong. They're not looking as, quite frankly, as ridiculously strong as they have in the past, but time will tell. We'll see what happens when models hit the floor. Overall, I am quite happy with what I'm seeing so far. Yes, there's things that could be more to my taste, and I'm sure everyone out there has different things that they like and don't like about what we're seeing in these almanacs. I think it paints an overall positive picture so far. I'm still looking forward to the game coming out, but it is very much, I think, that wait and see is going to be so important. All that remains for me to say is thank you very much for listening. I am Return to the Old World. Have a great day.